It seems something has happened here. Rocky is also not under a spell. There is a strong smell of blood outside the temple. I am already prepared for the worst." However, when they entered the main hall of the Deist temple, what greeted them was an even more tragic scene. All the Taoists of the heavenly officials have been killed. Only one little monk and one person survived. The young Taoist priest seemed stunned with fear. Officer Shen was extremely angry and incredulous about this. What grudges and grievances are there? They actually want to annihilate the entire Deist temple family. This reminded Chuenzi of the killer in the mountains a few days ago. Could it be that person? Officer Shen said it was impossible, because that killer has long been captured and imprisoned. But that person kept arguing. He said he saw many rats rushing towards him, and he only shoots at rats. Then he personally admitted that he had killed the wrong person. Xuanzi and Liuoqi exchanged a glance. The two were just attacked by mice. Then asked about the extermination of the Tianguan family. A few days ago, the murderer. I don't know what role I should play in this. So Chuanzi decided to meet that murderer. Officer Shen felt a sudden sense of confusion. Didn't Chuanzi say he was looking for Deist Qincheng? His body was not found in the Taoist temple. It seems they escaped a disaster while out. Chuanzi quickly explained. The killer felt something was off at that moment. I want to investigate. Officer Shen also found it strange. The evidence in the case of the killer is as solid as a rock, the kind that cannot be overturned. Officer Shen can arrange it. But don't hold any hopes for Chuenzi. But speaking of the mouse in the mouth of the killer, Officer Shen suddenly remembered there was a big rat near Chuenzi. Why haven't I seen him following the group? This has blocked the string. I can only lie and say I'm staying at a hotel. Officer Shen's expression while looking at the string was unusual. Let out a strange cough. Chuenzi quickly explained again. After all, it has to be such a big one. It's easy to scare someone when you bring it out. Officer Shen listened carefully. Smiling is the answer, but did not expose the lie of the string. Chuenzi's mood also fell. Suddenly, a sizzling sound came from behind Chuenzi. Chuenzi was instantly startled. Behind him was the longed-for Shayu. A large rat, half the height of a man, suddenly appeared behind the boy, looking back, yet empty and devoid of anything. Only the wind sweeps away the fallen leaves, and the faint sorrow in Chuenzi's heart. It turns out everything was an illusion created by the boy's longing. The little subordinate who used to be by my side, gone without a trace. At this moment Chuenzi faintly felt the massacre that occurred in Gongshan this time. It seems to be related to the attributes. Then Chuenzi and the Taoist master Rocky, the officer on duty, provided a statement at the police station intersection. Under Officer Shen's arrangement, I saw the one on Gongshan, suspect in the murder of 7 people, at first sight. The murder suspect immediately claimed he was wronged. Those 7 people were truly not killed by him intentionally, because he had already lost consciousness before the murder. Every one I see with my eyes has turned into a giant. It was in a state of panic that the gun was fired. I never expected that all the ones we killed were just people. At the point of despair, even tears of sorrow were shed. Chuenzi may not be an expert in micro-expressions, but judging by the condition of the other person's hair, Chuenzi could conclude that this person was definitely lying. The suspect's hair is thick and strong, and stood up straight. This person is not actually feeling down at all. If one truly feels regret and sorrow for inadvertently taking a life, at this moment his hair should be slicked down against his scalp, as long as it's a deception. The human brain and heart rate become unusually excited. blood circulation will also speed up. At this time, a person's hair can also stand upright, especially when he realized his lies were enough to deceive the other party. Emotions will reach their peak. The hair stands up even more distinctly. It will also secrete vigorous hair oil. This suspect is just like that. That's why Chuenzi concluded that this person was lying. So it is said. The murder case on Zigong Mountain had nothing to do with the rat demon. At this thought, Chuenzi wanted to expose the lies of the suspect in front of him. So he got up to ask, "But if you are not intentionally trying to kill, where did your murder weapon come from?" But the suspect still refuses to say a word. Insist on this issue. He has already explained it to the police comrades. Buying that gun is indeed illegal, but he bought it just for fun, absolutely not for the purpose of killing. Before the words fell, suddenly someone knocked on the door. Chuenzi looked back. It turned out that Officer Shen was at the window. She beckoned him with her finger. Clearly, it's about looking for a connection. Then Chuenzi came out of the interrogation room. Ask Officer Shen what happened. Officer Shen expressed his long-standing respect for Chuenzi. But I hope Chuenzi won't hide anything from him either. Chuenzi was confused upon hearing this. So I immediately asked what was wrong. Then Officer Shen asked him, the big mouse that used to stay close to Chuenzi, "Are you really still at the hotel? Can you take him to see it in person?" When Chuenzi heard this, I was momentarily speechless. Previously, he deceived Officer Shen by saying, "The rat demon is still resting in the hotel." But in reality, the rat demon had long vanished without a trace. Unknown destination. At this moment, there's nothing to be done about the situation. I can only tell Officer Shen the truth. The rat demon has been missing for many days. Chuenzi goes to Zibong Mountain. Actually, it was also to search for the rat demon. Since we don't know where the mouse demon went, why did they go to Zibong Mountain again? And there just happened to be a murder. Questioning whether Chuenzi is trying to hide something. Chuenzi immediately became angry upon hearing that. Officer Shen asked this. It is clear that they are suspecting Chuenzi of instructing the rat demon to commit murder. Officer Shen immediately took out a notebook. He is not just suspicious, but there are witness testimonies. The surviving young Taoist made a record. According to him, the Taoist of the Wenxiangyuan died in a battle of spells. The other side of the duel. It's a purple-furred rat as tall as a person. They simply unbelievable. Officer Shen's words are not false. So Chuenzi immediately requested to meet the surviving little Taoist. But Officer Shen firmly refused. The string of beads has now taken shape. Suspicions of the rat demon being instructed to kill. Therefore, to ensure the safety of the witness's life, from now on, the police will not allow any connections. Meet with any relevant personnel regarding this case again. Additionally, there is a request for the string. Keep the phone on 24 hours a day. The police may summon Chuenzi at any time. Just like that, Chuenzi was ultimately forced to get involved in the tragic massacre of the Wen Tiangyuan family. This is an extremely brutal massacre. Unfortunately, Chuenzi is caught in it, unable to prove innocence, according to the notes of the surviving young Taoist priest. Indeed, there was an incident where a rat demon attacked the Wenxiangyuan. Then he was injured by a pillar and escaped. But I didn't expect, after the injuries of the mouse demon were treated by the two new doctors, just last night, the rat demon unexpectedly led the children to the mountain. All the mice attacked Wenxiangyuan. Some water ghosts also participated, under the siege of demons and ghosts. When Tianguan was wiped out by the rat demon, Ju Chai and the Taoist all met a tragic end. Only the surviving little Taoist carries it. stained with the blood of comrades, hiding behind the body of a companion. This is how they narrowly escaped a disaster. So the rat demon must have come for revenge. A few days ago, the young days saw the rat demon lurking around the temple. Zhu Chai did not believe the little Taoist's words, because the rat demon was struck by the celestial fire technique of Zhu Chai. It's impossible to recover so quickly. The mouse demon's wounds healed too quickly, completely beyond Zhu Chai's expectations. If the rat demon is really related to the case of the Wenxiangyuan family massacre, Chuenzi must take responsibility. Thinking of this, Chuenzi felt very guilty. Rocky saw Chuenzi looking dejected. Let's suggest going to find Master Layo. The case is completely at a standstill now. Chuenzi couldn't even participate in the investigation. I have no choice but to visit the prison again. The mustached man seemed to have changed completely. The attitude towards Chuenzi and Liuopi was completely businesslike. You only have 5 minutes. Try to hurry up. Although I don't know what happened in the prison, Chuenzi could only briefly mention what happened at the Uterus Mountain. All signs indicate it is the rat spirit that incites the murderer to kill. Chuenzi really doesn't know what to do. Master Layo seemed to have thought of something. Confirm the situation with Zhang Chuenzi. Are you saying the mouse demon seduced others to kill 7 people? Chuenzi quickly replied. Layo said, "Is there a problem with this number?" However, Master Layo just kept repeating about the 7 people. Chuenzi couldn't help but worry if the mouse demon had caused a big mess. At this moment, Master Layo continued to ask. The rat demon fell victim to the heavenly fire. It's impossible to recover it that quickly. Let Chuenzi quickly clarify the places he's recently visited, especially unusual phenomena. However, at that moment, the prison guard pushed the door open. It's time to shout. The visit has ended. Chuenzi suddenly became anxious, racking my brain to recall the strange events that have happened recently. Tai Long Reservoir and the underwater Dragon City, and the matter of Tai Sui bringing wealth. The rat demon feeds on ghostly souls. Uncle Layo knows all of this. Uncle Layo was taken away. Chuenzi recalled a strange incident. It was during the search for the hidden lair of the monster hunters. Everyone is having a meeting at Zhu Du's home. Zhu's home surprisingly has the white tiger feng shui layout. The rat demon bit a dog demon there. Chuenzi hasn't finished speaking yet. Master Layo interrupted the conversation. I already know. You go back first. Be careful on the road. In just 5 minutes. Chuenzi couldn't get an answer from Master Layo. What should be done about the mouse demon? At this moment, Yujing apologized to Chuenzi. Because of what happened this morning, Yujing's attitude plummeted. They had no way out either. Since Master Layo helped the prison solve the incidents of the monster in Yangjiao Valley and Dinchen Lake, Yu usually took good care of Master Layo. However, some people reported Yu Jing. It is said that certain privileges are granted to some prisoners. Additionally, ever since the prison cell was covered with a roof, the fish monster in Dinchang Lake cannot absorb energy. Then we can only wait for death. However, the nearby villagers heard the news and took action. Everyone came to blame Yujing for listening to Master Layo's words. Yujing wants to tear down the greenhouse. We need to report this to our superiors. The prison warden also has a lot of pressure. So for now, we can only temporarily inconvenience Master Layo. Chuenzi was furious on the spot. These people are just bored and looking for trouble, unexpectedly mistaking the water monster for a divine beast. Yujing understands and empathizes with herself. They firmly stated that they would do their best to fight for it. We can't let Mr. Lyo's hard work go to waste. Quickly take out the money to give to you, Jing. Then it would be troubling for you. The traveler on the road is feeling quite troubled. Master Lyo's exemption order is likely gone. The rat demon has gotten into big trouble. Misfortunes never come singly. At that moment, someone by the roadside was proposing. Rocky always looks downcast when watching the string. I can't help but ask, what's up? When are you going to find a wife? Master Lyo really hopes you find a girlfriend and live a good life. However, the string is like a magic wand. If the white tiger in Team Zoo's home breaks the Feng Shui arrangement, will Captain Zoo step in to help Uncle Lyo? The Yuakidon felt speechless. Chuenzi, are you out of your mind? Even if they break this deadly trap, Zoo team might not appreciate it either. That old thing has a very black heart. Then take the initiative to break the deadlock. It's too cheap. It would be better to add some dark energy to his family, waiting for Team Zoo to come and ask them. At that moment, the girl across was holding Mu Huangxiang and said, "My classmate has leukemia. Please help me out." The uncle just waved his hand and left. Chuenzi stepped forward. Without hesitation, he stuffed in 500 yuan, then turned around and left. Rocky sighed. You are really generous. Chuenzi said he's feeling really down lately. I simply didn't have any luck getting home. Do some good deeds to accumulate merit. Meanwhile, the muzzle of a sniper rifle protruded from the gap in the building. The bullet was chambered with a click. Then there was a loud bang. It turned out to be the uncle who didn't have a wooden cloth earlier. A gunshot rang out. The entire square shook. Chuenzi and Luoki turned around at the same time to look back. I saw a man behind me get shot and fall to the ground. The young girl next to me was frozen in fear. Blood splattered across the face. Seeing this, Chuenzi, charge up and shout. Quickly hold it upside down. In an instant, the people in the square instantly panicked and scattered in all directions. Screams for help and an atmosphere of unknown terror. The moment filled the entire square. Chuenzi rushed forward, tackled the girl to the ground. Hide behind the stone chair. The girl immediately fainted. Chuenzi raised his head in anger. Looking back, I saw Rocky hiding behind the stone bench. Yuo Kai, a master of the Daoist sect, remembers. I've never been afraid of gunmen. No gun can fire a bullet in front of him. Kelluoki stated that he is not a deity. Such a long distance. He has no way out either. Moreover, we don't even know the sniper's position now. At that moment, suddenly someone ran past Rocky. A whoosh sound was heard. A bullet. It directly pierced through that person's calf. The man fell to the ground in response, immediately clutching his legs in pain and wailing, "Help! I'm dying from the pain. Help!" Chuenzi gritted his teeth in anger. But then I heard someone call from behind, "Young man, do you have a mobile phone?" Chuenzi suddenly remembered that he needed to call the police quickly. Turning around, he saw the person calling him. It was the man who just proposed in the square. At this moment he is hiding behind the pillar. Claims to have already reported to the police. The police should arrive soon. But he needs Chuenzi to help him. He pointed to the area behind him. The sniper who is responsible for the killing should be in that direction. He needs to use his phone's camera to focus on that area. With that, he stepped forward, walk out from behind the pillar. He stated that he would first draw the sniper's attention to prevent that person from harming the innocent again. Let Chuenzi use the phone to aim at the building ahead and take a picture. This might help locate the sniper's exact position. Seeing this, Chuenzi hurriedly asked him to come back. Rushing out recklessly like this, It's clear they are going to their doom, but the man firmly indicated by taking off his coat. He is a soldier. In this environment, others can run, but he cannot leave. To prevent more people from being harmed, he must step forward, buy time for others to escape. Moreover, he also has someone he wants to protect. At that moment, the man's girlfriend was hiding behind Zai, trembling. "Speak." The man defiantly raised his middle finger at the tall building across the street. "And let the strings follow what he says. You must strive to capture the other party. If he is lucky enough to come back alive, he will definitely invite Chuenzi for a drink." Before the voice could fade, the man charged recklessly toward the building. Looking at the back of this soldier, Chuenzi felt that at this moment no one could stop his passion. He is willing to risk his own safety to buy others time to escape, although his words just now can be considered the final statement. To avoid the sniper's bullets. It is almost impossible. Next, Chuenzi hurriedly took up his phone, trembling as he aimed it at the building across. Through the small screen, Chuenzi indeed saw a faint beam of light reflecting from the rooftop. This must be the light source reflected by the scope. The soldier seemed to have noticed the sniper's location at that moment. He was seen running, jumping, and dodging. His reach was exceptionally agile. The bullet always missed him by half a body length. The sniper focused all his energy on him. Escaping bought us time. Soon, a group of people finally escaped the shooting range. Just as the soldier was about to turn back, a bullet pierced straight through the man's chest. A terrifying shooting incident occurred in the bustling square. Innocent bystanders fell to the ground one after another, shot. A soldier bravely rushed forward through the crowd to attract the sniper's attention, just to buy time for others to escape. However, the next second, a bullet pierced directly through the soldier's chest. The soldier collapsed on the ground, lying in a pool of blood. It started pouring rain. The gunfire in the square has also faded away. The ambulance and police car have arrived. People hurriedly rushed to save others. Chuenzi stood in the rain, lost and dejected, looking at the bodies and blood all over the ground. A sudden wave of oppression and helplessness washed over me. The soldier's girlfriend weeps bitterly in the rain, holding the fallen soldier. Chuenzi thought about the rooftop of the opposite building where the sniper had just killed. It seems to recall another gunshot. What is going on? Could there be two snipers? Who is the second sniper? Are you a messenger of justice? Why did they appear at the same time? Killing time. A series of questions flooded Chuenzi's mind. However, it was precisely because of the appearance of the second sniper. The sniper who was killing indiscriminately finally stopped. Could it be that the second sniper shot the murderer? Chuenzi doesn't understand. Why did he come to Dongling City? Always getting involved with snipers. At the Eastern Building, Zhao King was also shot by a sniper. Until now, the killer has still not been found. At this moment, the deist master, Liu Kai, also approached. This murderous maniac is simply insane. Completely without a specific goal, purely for the sake of killing. Indiscriminate massacre. At the same time, he also admired the soldier from earlier. Truly a man of great stature. Unfortunately, in the end, I was shot. There are soldiers tightly holding heavy guns as they fall to the ground. But the arriving emergency doctor tried to persuade him to lay his boyfriend flat on the ground. It appears that he still has vital signs. It can still be saved. A stroke of luck amidst misfortune. The soldier was shot in a non-vital area. After the doctor's emergency treatment, take her to the hospital for further treatment. There shouldn't be much of a problem. Later on, the police searched the building. He has already escaped. However, The police did not come away empty-handed. They found traces of the sniper's blood in the building. In this way, finding the murderer won't be that difficult. Luo Kai reminds Chuenzai. The video of the building taken by Chuenzi during the chaos just now. It should also be sent to Officer Shen in a timely manner. Facilitate their investigation. Then Chuenzi picked up the phone. I plan to send the video to Shen Zhang. I hope they can extract the appearance of the criminal soon. Originally, Shen Zhang was not seen among the police on site. He must still be dealing with the matters of Ziguang Mountain. Due to the previous incident, has been listed as a key suspect in the Wenshan Temple massacre case. So there are some things he can't directly inquire about. We can only honestly wait for the investigation results. But unexpectedly, Shen Zhang actually took the initiative to call Chuenzi and shared a shocking piece of news with Chuenzi. The bodies of the deists in Wenxingyuan have all disappeared. Suddenly, heavy rain started to fall from the sky. Officer Shen and the others returned to the car. Go get the statement and autopsy tools. But the temple is on the mountain. The car can't come up. So Officer Shen and the others had no choice but to go down the mountain to fetch it. But when they returned to the Taoist temple again, but was shocked to discover the corpse in the temple. They have all completely disappeared. There are still traces of a body being dragged at the scene. So Officer Shen and his team followed the traces to search. It's raining too heavily outside. All traces have been washed away by the rain. No evidence was left behind. Officer Shen felt that he had truly been careless this time. We should have someone to keep watch. This situation is just like last time. Chuenzi didn't understand what Officer Shen meant by last time. Officer Shen explained that 7 people died a few days ago at Zigan Mountain. This matter is known to Chuenzi. When Officer Shen and his team arrived at the scene, 7 corpses lay scattered haphazardly on the ground. I heard again from the people on the mountain. I saw a person holding a gun and looking disoriented. Officer Shen was immediately anxious. Didn't pay attention to the body. Drive straight to pursue the murderer. It's actually the one that Chuenzi saw at the police station. When they saw the suspect at that time, the other party openly confessed to the act of murder. But he repeatedly emphasized that he was deceived. He claimed that all he saw at that time were big rats. That's why he fired the gun. Chuenzi was extremely annoyed to hear this. Earlier, he had seen the suspect's hair, knowing that the other person is lying. But Officer Shen told Chuenzi not to get agitated. Let him finish speaking first. At that time, Officer Shen and his team were returning after failing to catch the criminal. I found that the 7 corpses lying on the ground were gone. Chuenzi was very shocked after listening. Could Officer Shen suspect that a rat spirit stole the body? What made Chuenzi excitedly throw his phone in celebration? If it weren't for Rocky catching the phone behind me. It's time to hold a funeral for the smartphone. Just now, Officer Shen called. What sent chills down Chuenzi's spine was, the body of the heavenly official's Taoist priest has gone missing. Previously, Officer Shen discovered the Wenshan family's massacre. Without stopping, I rushed back to the car to get the autopsy equipment. Upon returning, they found the victim's body had vanished. Officer Shen was very angry about this. The last serial killer incident was the same. Officer Shen was just out to catch a murderer. When he returned to the crime scene, he found the bodies of the 7 victims have also completely vanished. Chuenzi suddenly had an ominous premonition. Quickly confirmed with Officer Shen. Does Officer Shen suspect that the rat spirit stole the body? Officer Shen felt speechless. However, considering that Chuenzi has assisted the police in solving cases multiple times, Officer Shen decides to share some good news. Although the evidence of the crime outside the Wenchiyingyuan was destroyed by the giant fish, but based on the findings from inside the house, there were no footprints or traces of tweezers like animals at the scene, and the mouse belongs to the rodent class. So this case is likely unrelated to the rat demon. But the surviving little Taoist said it was the rat demon attacking Wen Xinguan. Officer Shen also reminded Chuenzi, "The evidence is insufficient now. We need to collect more blood and hair to take back for testing." But this was said to Chuenzi. It means the rat demon is acquitted. Immediately excited, he threw away his phone to celebrate. Yuo Kai helplessly took the phone. At this moment, Officer Shen still stated seriously, "Chuenzi and the rat demon are still suspects. Be ready to respond to police calls and investigations at any time." Rocky saw the crazy appearance of Chuenzi. I could only say to Officer Shen, "Don't ask anymore. Chuenzi has gone crazy." Officer Shen immediately asked, "Who are you?" Rachai immediately became withdrawn. Ningqi is truly a forgetful noble. Then the two of them returned to the hotel to sleep soundly, since the conclusion of the Black Spider website award ceremony. Then Rocky went to find Chuenzi, encountering a ghost in the elevator. Next comes Rocky's betrayal. Go meet the master craftsman. After returning, I went to Zigon Mountain to search for the mouse demon. After coming down the mountain, I encountered the shooting incident in the square. Until now, the two of them haven't had a good night's sleep. I woke up, but it was already evening. Chuenzi asked Rocky, "How can you tell that there are ghosts in this room?" Rocky let out a cold snort. "Don't underestimate the person behind the door. Their methods of dispelling evil and banishing demons are also very powerful. Of course, deist masters would not easily provoke a vengeful ghost that has existed for hundreds of years." Chuenzi became interested upon hearing this. He has known Rocky for such a long time. I haven't heard Rocky talk about the past yet. Rocky immediately turned around, lying face up, since Chuenzi wants to listen. He has nothing he can't say. That year, Rocky joined a sect of the deist community. Those days were very profound for Rocky, because once you don't bring anything back from stealing, will be punished. At that time, a chubby boy often got punished with Rocky. As time went by, the two of them became familiar with each other. The chubby boy is called Beazi. The two of them squatted in horse stance with bricks on their heads until they reached the Sun Luo mountain. Perhaps their master saw that the two got along well. Let Rocky and Beazi form a partnership. Beazi is ahead, pretending to be lost. Rocky took the opportunity to strike, swiftly stole the wallet. Unbeknownst to the target, Rocky turned and walked away, and Beazi's acting is also very perfect. Soon, the two not only achieved their performance. You can still keep some money for a big meal, but during that year, Beazi had an accident. The day before New Year's Eve, Rocky and his partner have only completed half of their tasks. The two decided to target the wealthy. So they finished stealing a whole building, prepare to build a bridge to the other building. Just then, I found a thick and sturdy black wooden board on the rooftop. Rocky and the others set up the black wooden board between the two buildings. If Rocky had known the origin of this black wooden board, run as far away as you can. I saw the bun climb up the black wooden board. Rocky reminded Beazi to lower his body. "Be careful." Beazi turned his head and gave a thumbs up. Let Rocky be at ease. As soon as the voice fell, suddenly a gust of cold wind blew through. Beazi suddenly felt dizzy and disoriented. Then Beazi lay there without moving. Rocky couldn't help but wonder, just about to ask about the Beazi. Suddenly, Beazi slowly got up. This scene suddenly frightened Rocky. Beazi, quickly lie down. Don't fall down. But at that moment, a word popped out from the bun. Let's go. Then Rocky saw Beazi turn his head to look at him. Rocky was stunned in place. The Beazi's facial features emitted a dark aura. The expression was extremely strange. A long time. Two words popped out of the bun. Hurry up. Never touch anything of unknown origin. The boy Beazi stands on the wooden plank between two buildings. Turning back, the ghostly figure smiled. A strange aura was emanating dark energy at the same time. Yo-Yo said to her companion Rocky behind her, "Hurry up," suddenly leaped forward, jumped down from the gap between two buildings. The two individuals who are disciples of the deist sect. Tonight was supposed to be a big night. Stealing from the employee dormitory of the relatively wealthy Pula airport. The original plan was to climb over using a bamboo ladder from the rooftop of the neighboring community. But they discovered it unexpectedly on the rooftop, a thick and sturdy black wooden board. So the two used the black wooden board instead of the bamboo ladder to bridge the two buildings. Who knows about the leading Beazi? Just halfway up, the eerie occurrence happened. Rocky shouted in surprise. But it was already too late. The Beazi falls head first. The result is predictable. Rocky was so scared that his soul nearly left his body. While looking down, suddenly discovered next to the corpse of the Beazi, there stood a ghost in white with no eyes. The silent ghost looked up at the rooftop, facing Rocky directly. The sound just now startled the residents in the building. The residents felt that the building had been robbed, so they shouted to catch the thief. Rocky suddenly felt that something was off with him. A faint heaviness settled in my chest, recalling how Beazi urged Rocky to leave quickly before dying. He must have been taken by a ghost at that time. Right now, I can't think about that much. We must first return to the master. Afterward, Rocky dragged his heavy body, struggled to reach Master's home. If it weren't for the Master saving him with all his strength at that time, Rocky's life may have already been lost. That was the first time Rocky had ever seen it. Then he asked Chuenzi again, "Do you know why they encounter a ghost that night?" Chuenzi guessed it might be related to that black wooden board. Rocky replied, "That's right. That was a coffin board, and it's specifically a bed for the dead to lie on." As he spoke, Rocky took off his shirt. Previously, Chuenzi and Luoki had never met without their shirts on. Yanjia Chuenzi was surprised to discover there was a black palm print on Rocky's chest. This is the soul-snatching hand left by the silent ghost that night. Master gave his all that night. Just drove the ghostly aura away from Luoki. But this palm print never faded away. The colors have instead deepened year by year. Rocky knew that one day he will be possessed by this ghostly energy. So he has been searching for a way to stop all of this. It is said that there is a technique of the ghostly way. Once you master it, it can steal anything in the world. It can even steal things from the underworld. But any powerful magic, everything requires a certain price to be paid. For this reason, Luoki decided to bear the cost, because of this ghostly technique, surpassing all gods and demons. By that time, he will no longer fear any gods or ghosts. Chuenzi does not understand the price of what Rocky mentioned. What cost does it refer to? Rocky told Chuenzi, by that time, he is very likely to become half human, half ghost. Upon hearing this, Chuenzi said Rocky was absolutely chaotic. Turning into a ghost is simply outrageous. But Rocky said, Dongsheng doesn't understand this kind of thing at all. Rocky still carries that piece. Polar compass. It's because I need it. Chuenzi still can't understand. If it is to treat the ghostly energy within, Then he can ask Uncle Lio. Copy those 3 secret books for Luoki to cultivate. Luoki is unwilling to do so. On one hand, Uncle Lio's books are all good books, but it's not the type he is looking for. Furthermore, he had previously promised Uncle Lio, "I will never consider those 3 books again." He told Chuenzi to go to bed early. "It's okay, just think about how to go to Zhu's team and stir up some trouble. Rescuing Uncle Lio as soon as possible is the most urgent matter." Also, Chuenzi just asked, "What's going on with the ghost in this room?" It's really not a big deal. Rocky was indeed targeted by that ghost. But as long as you don't provoke him, just be back before 12 every day. Upon hearing these words, Chuenzi immediately sensed something was off. Aren't they stuck like this for a lifetime? We can't leave this hotel either. Rocky told him not to panic. At most, during the 1st and 15th of the month, set off a string of firecrackers inside the house. These ghosts naturally no longer dared to disturb. Chuenzi was left speechless. How could he even think of that? What if we accidentally set someone else's hotel on fire? Just like that, 2 people are arguing, and fell into a deep sleep. In the dead of night, the little dark dog lay by the window wagging its tail, looking down from the balcony. Chuenzi has also woken up now, sleepily approached the window. What is Zio Chuenzi watching? He leaned forward to take a look. To their surprise, the rat demon was standing downstairs. Chuenzi saw the little mouse demon had returned, suddenly filled with joy. At this moment, behind the rat demon, suddenly a clawing old woman lunged at him. Midnight streets. A giant rat appeared, standing half the height of a person. And behind the mouse, suddenly a figure in a kippah rushed over. A gaunt old woman with sharp claws. The rat demon trembled in fear. Hands on head, the upstairs neighbor saw an old friend from the past. The rat demon is dangerous. Hurry and shout loudly. Let the mouse demon run quickly. Kai Laio's emotions were too intense. Suddenly slipped underfoot. Suddenly he leaped out of the window. At the moment the head is about to hit the ground, Chuenzi suddenly woke up from the bed. Everything that just happened. It's just a nightmare. I turned to look at the bed beside me, discovering that Luoki has vanished without a trace. Thinking to myself, this guy. Could it be that they really went to the Zhu family's home? Why didn't he call him and just went by himself? Recalling the dream I just had, Chuenzi is somewhat worried about the safety of the mouse demon. The rat demon should be on Zijing Mountain now. There are truly too many strange things there, in addition to one's own dreams. Why did that old woman appear? In Chuenzi's impression, I have never seen anyone wearing a blue kippah. Is it possible for a rat demon to be on Ziguang Mountain? What kind of monster has taken control? After all, the bodies there are always stolen. Even the police couldn't find any clues. Watching the evil dog Zio Chuenzi waddle over with its tail wagging, Chuenzi decided to take him to Zijim Mountain. Bring back the mouse demon. Chuenzi finished speaking. Little Keizai barked continuously. The tail wagged even more joyfully. Chuenzi drove late at night with Zio Chuenzi to Ziguang Mountain. Arrived at the foot of the mountain, they got out of the car and walked, crossing the police line of defense. The deeper we go, Chuenzi seemed to walk into a mesmerizing cave. Many wandering souls float in the air. Yingu Zio Chuenzi walks ahead, occasionally making a whimpering sound. Clearly, he can see these wandering souls too. Chuenzi told him not to worry. These wandering souls won't harm anyone. In fact, there are many wandering souls in this world. They not only won't harm humans. Instead, Some might help when humans are lost, guiding people in the right direction. The string called out to a wandering spirit girl. Ask her if she is in the mountains. I saw a very large rat. If you have seen it, can you show them the way? The wandering spirit sister nodded with a smile. Then Chuenzi followed her forward. Kay walked along and felt increasingly dizzy. At this moment, the eagle dog suddenly erupted into a frenzy of barking. Chuenzi suddenly woke up from the illusion, realizing that I was walking towards the water. Chuenzi was startled, immediately fell back to the shore. Isn't this Love Lake? He recalled he was just asking the wandering spirit for help to guide him. How did we suddenly end up at Love Lake? Could it be that I was haunted by a water ghost? But he has no recollection of this. If it weren't for Zio Chuenzi waking him up just now, he is probably drowning in this lake of love now. In an instant, Chuenzi suddenly realized. Did I encounter a burial group? So-called burial group. It is actually a very sinister feng shui ghost trap. The conditions formed are similar to the Chai-Long Waitan feng shui setup. First, there must be high mountains surrounding the area. If it's not mountains and forests under its banner, then it's the inner lake. So when a person dies, the corpse is decaying. The corpse has long been pent up, cannot dissipate. Beneath the valley, a burial group will form. Ordinary people linger at the windward side. The mood will become very low, until hallucinations occur, stepping into the abyss, just like the earlier, unknowingly, led here by the funeral procession. There have been too many deaths at Zigon Mountain recently. The corpse accumulated resentment. It inevitably forms a ghost that tempts people to their doom, as Chuenzi pondered. Suddenly, in the cold lake water, unexpected undercurrents are stirring. Suddenly, two terrifying ghost faces emerged from the water. In an instant, the ghostly face suddenly leaped out of the water. Open your bloody mouth wide, charging straight towards the wire. Suddenly, a clawing water ghost sprang out. Zuozi quickly pulled out the copper rod from behind him while sitting by the water. The water ghost was knocked away with a stick. Suddenly, the character quickly stepped back and got up. Tear off the white cloth from the copper rod. Reveal the location of the 5 Thunder Array corpse inside. At that moment, the lake water immediately began to boil. Dense water ghosts. People are rushing in from all directions toward the crowd. So Chuenzi tightly held the corpse at the scene, facing the lake surface. The 5 Thunder formation is located at the corpse site. Bring on any monsters or demons. At that moment, suddenly a noise came from the forest behind. Countless golden birds flew out of the forest. Chuenzi suddenly turned back. It's so late. Who else could be in the forest? When the string is turned back, but found that the lake's surface had returned to calm. Was that just another illusion? Or should we talk about what we just discussed from the mountains? They have all been scared away. So what exactly was in the mountains earlier? Could it be the mouse demon? At this thought, Chuenzi immediately called Eagle Dog Zio Chuenzi, joyfully ran deeper into the woods. Chuenzi visits Zigon Mountain in the middle of the night. It's all to find the mouse demon. He shouted while running. I only hope the rat demon no longer hides from him, can come out and meet them. Unknowingly, Chuenzi didn't know where he had walked to. Walked to the base of a large tree. Unable to find the rat demon, the heart feels frustrated. A punch landed on the tree trunk. At that moment, the little dog behind started whimpering. Chuenzi didn't know what was wrong with him. I suddenly looked up. I discovered that this tree was actually covered in the lantern-like red fruit. Chuenzi gasped in amazement. There is actually a tree here that attracts ghosts. At that moment, a red fruit falls from the tree. It fell right in front of Chuenzi. Threads of red smoke rise from the fruit, wrapped around the stringed side. Chuenzi then realized that this fruit was actually poisonous. So they quickly called Zio Chuenzi to flee the place. But at this moment, Chuenzi's body had already begun to disobey her commands. Veins bulging on the face, eye sockets darkening. Then even the road became indistinguishable. Finally he fell to the ground with a thud, in a daze on a patch of grass. At the brink of death, Chuenzi felt that perhaps he shouldn't have come here tonight. Unexpectedly, I stumbled upon a group of burial sacrifices, led him down a path of no return. Later, I accidentally encountered this ghostly tree. If I'm not mistaken, those fruits should be called lantern fruits. At this moment, Zio Chuenzi ran back barking wildly in search of Chuenzi. Chuenzi lay on the ground, urging him to hurry. Hurry back and call for help. Zio Chuenzi cried out loudly upon hearing this. Some hesitation. Chuenzi immediately shouted, "Hurry up!" He thought to himself that if he died, then so be it. I can't let Zio Chuenzi get poisoned along with him. Maybe today will really be the end of my life. Reflecting on my life, from birth, Chuenzi has faced continuous misfortune. If it weren't for meeting Uncle Laio, Chuenzi might have returned to the heavens early. Perhaps this is his destiny. In this lifetime I can meet Uncle Laio, Liu Kai, Mouse Demon, Zio Chuenzi, Chen Zhang. There is also Bebe. It's not a wasted life after all. If I were to die like this in the wilderness, who will be the first person to discover him? I only hope for my own corpse. As long as we are not eaten by the monsters in the mountains, that would be good. At this moment, Chuenzi wondered if he was experiencing another hallucination. In a daze, he unexpectedly saw the mouse demon he had been longing for day and night, right in front of his eyes. But he hasn't had time to distinguish reality from fantasy, could no longer support it and closed both eyes. Possible. This is yet another beautiful illusion. The mouse spirit makes a comeback, pointing at the nose, scolding the eagle dog Zio Chuenzi for being careless. Dog brother, how could you bring the cicada excrement official to a place like this? However, there was nothing Kexeo Chuenzi could do. Chan Shiguin has been thinking about Brother Shu incessantly, climbing up Kodomo Mountain at midnight to search for the rat demon. Unexpectedly, they first encountered a water ghost while seeking a burial companion along the way. Immediately after, they encountered the ghost calling lantern fruit tree again, suddenly knocked down by the toxic gas released from the fallen fruit. Chuenzi quickly turned pale, poisoned deeply. Before falling unconscious, I saw the rat demon. It seems I won't be the only one playing, seeing illusions even at the brink of death. The mouse demon is also quite helpless. Had no choice but to point at the little brat and scold him. Dog, don't you know to stop him? Is this a place where people can come? Saying this, he plucked an herb from the side, then let Zio Chuenzi quickly eat the grass. This grass can neutralize the deadly poison of the lantern fruit tree. Then the mouse demon also began to eat grass. But now we must first feed the... Otherwise it will be too late. What a chaotic pet owner. Can't we let Brother Shu relax a bit? Soon the rat spirit chewed the herbs into tiny pieces. Without further ado, stuff the herbs into the string's mouth with your mouth. After a heart-wrenching artificial respiration, the rat demon proudly began to sing. Outside the long pavilion, by the valley path, fragrant grass stretches to the horizon. This is the farewell to Chuenzi once again. However, Yengu Zio Chuenzai clearly lacks musical talent. Quickly make mouse brother shut up. The five tones have all gone astray. The rat demon was instantly filled with anger and embarrassment. "If you have the ability, come sing, but the rat demon should leave now. Then gently put down the string. Remind Zio Chuenzi to take good care of our litter cleaner." Zio Chuenzi asked a question. "Aren't you going to wait for him to wake up before leaving?" However, the rat demon has something very important to do. You can't roll the sausage in. But Ki Zio knew, already drawn in, being able to see into people's bodies, the hawk dog tainted by dark energy. It's easy to distinguish who is unusual. Unfortunately, I can't communicate with Chuenzi. The rat demon immediately explained the reasoning behind the whiskers, gritted their teeth and said, "Is that so? Brother Mouse knows. Take good care of the litter cleaner. The rest will be handled by Brother Shu." Zio Chuenzi immediately promised. "Ensure the task is completed." After the rat demon left, Zio Chuenzi stayed by Chuenzi's side. When Chuenzi woke up, it reminded me of the hallucinations during my poisoning and coma. Quickly ask Zio Chuenzi, "Has the mouse demon been here?" Little Chuenzi turned its head to the side, an expression of not wanting to pay attention to you. Chuenzi was suddenly startled, quickly followed the gaze of the little string. Yet there was a wooden post resembling a skull. It appeared extremely dangerous. "Stay away from me." Chuenzi quickly understood. At that moment, the rat demon warned Chuenzi, "Don't look for him anymore. Otherwise, it will be very dangerous." Chuenzi did not understand why the mouse demon wanted to leave him. We can only respect the choice of the rat demon. After the life insurance was secured, Chuenzi went down the mountain for breakfast, bought some beazi. As the caretaker of the little pet, I can never be dog food, must eat buns with myself. Just at that moment, Chuenzi suddenly heard some news about himself. Just yesterday afternoon, a shooting incident occurred at the plaza in Donglin City. At that time, Chuenzi was right there on the scene, witnessing a righteous citizen risking their life, provoking hatred towards the sniper, thus buying time for others to escape. When Chuenzi heard about this righteous citizen at Donglin City People's Hospital, immediately drove to visit him. Soon Chuenzi arrived at the hospital, but I found out that it is very close to Donglin Square. I am also grateful that the hospital is close by, the civilian who was shot and injured at that time, to receive timely rescue. Then Chuenzi arrived at the inpatient department. The righteous citizens showed no surprise at the arrival of the strings. The two of them simply introduced themselves. The just citizen is called Honksin. At that moment I was proposing to my girlfriend in the square. After the shooting occurred, Chuenzi immediately stepped forward to save the girl who was collecting donations. So the two of them can be considered kindred spirits. Filled with fervid passion, Chuenzi teased Honksing. "Your deeds are now being talked about outside." Honksing humbly said, "Where is it?" "I just wanted to show off a bit in front of Zio Guo." Zio Guo is Hongxing's girlfriend. Chuenzi was momentarily taken aback. I accidentally got bumped by Honksing. However, as a soldier, Honksing, no matter the responsibilities on one's shoulders. The reason why girlfriends admire heroes. In that situation, Honksing would resolutely step forward, the firepower that attracts the sniper. Eagle Dog's little skewers a second ago, still retreating madly in front of a hospital room. But suddenly I felt nauseous and began to vomit. What exactly happened? Just now, Chuenzi visits Honksing in the hospital. Because of the shooting incident, Honksing stepped forward to confront the sniper, although heavily injured. But he not only survived by luck, he even embraced the beautiful person home. His girlfriend has already accepted his proposal. Chuenzi while congratulating, is extremely admiring of Hongxin. I candidly admit that I can't be that brave. At this point, Hongxin always felt that the sniper was strange. Citizens injured in this shooting incident. Everyone survived. If it was really to kill someone, the hit rate can never be that low. Of course, this is just Hongxing's intuitive judgment, unable to draw further conclusions. But the doctor said the red star was hit 3 centimeters down, and he is undoubtedly doomed. From this, we can make an assumption. The sniper was originally aiming at the vital point of the red star. In the moment of pulling the trigger, it turned out to be a mistake. But the condition of other seriously injured citizens, all are identical. Chuenzi and Hongxing couldn't understand at all. Why did the sniper do this? At that moment, someone pushed the door open. The sound of the doorknob turning startled 2 people. Turning to take a look, a beautiful girl appeared, walked in carrying food. The girl is indeed Hongxing's girlfriend. But when she saw the string of beads, that lively energy came to an abrupt stop. Chuenzi was extremely envious upon seeing that. How could Hongxing have such a girlfriend? Quickly shouted at the girl, sister-in-law, hi. Hongxing also introduced Chuenzi to his girlfriend. However, Chuenzi suddenly realized he forgot to bring a gift. Who visits others empty-handed? The two agreed to take a break after Hongxing was discharged from the hospital. The sentence is not finished. Suddenly, the frantic barking of a small dog came from outside the door. Chuenzi hurriedly ran out to check. Yet, Zhao Chuenzi was furiously staring at the door of the adjacent room. Chuenzi couldn't help but feel suspicious. What is really behind this door? What did Zhao Juzi discover? Unfortunately, Zhao Chuenzi cannot speak human language, can only fly wildly without stopping. It even alarmed the doctor. Don't shout. This is a hospital. Who let you bring the dog in? Chuenzi suddenly felt something was wrong, quickly leaned down to comfort Zhao Chuenzi, and apologized to the doctor. However, the doctor has to be responsible for other patients. Be warned, Chuenzi, take care of your dog. Do not disturb the patient's rest. At that moment, Hongxing's girlfriend walked out of the room. Seeing the little Chuenzi, he originally looked fierce and intimidating, suddenly feeling downcast. The dog quickly became listless. The girl was shocked. Quickly remind Chuenzi that your dog is in trouble. The next moment, Zhao Chuenzi unexpectedly started to vomit. Chuenzi was instantly terrified. What's wrong, Zhao Chuenzi? Did the beiazi I just ate upset my stomach? But after a moment of thought, Qi Chuenzi realized something was off. I also ate a bun. Chuenzi quickly called for help from the doctor. Can we see what happened to Zhao Chuenzi? But this is a hospital for treating people. Chuenzi should take the little Chuenzi to the pet hospital. Chuenzi finally came to his senses, quickly picked up the little bundle. He then said to the girl, I'll come to visit Brother Hongxing another day. The girl went back inside the house, talked to Hongxing about Zhao Chuanzi. Then Hongxing said, I get along quite well with my younger brother Yang Chuan, and he seems to be single. Are there any single girls around you? Can you introduce him? The long-haired girl passing by outside happened to hear these words. If Chuenzi saw the girl, will definitely recognize. She is the girl who raised funds for her friend at the shooting scene. At that moment, Chuenzi bravely tackled the girl, prevented the girl from being targeted by the sniper. At this moment, Chuenzi is worried about Zhao Chuenzi's illness. As soon as I got in the car, I contacted the veterinarian Liang Kixin, but the Chuenzi forgot. Dr. Liang has transferred to Donglin City People's Hospital as a doctor. and Chuenzi has just come out of this hospital. However, Dr. Liang still had Chuenzi take Zaya Chuenzi to their own pet hospital. Where is Dr. Liang's girlfriend, King? Common symptoms can be managed. After Dr. Liang finishes work and goes home, check on Zio Chuenzi again. Soon Chuenzi arrived at the pet hospital. Zio Quanzi has returned to normal after taking the medicine given by King. You still need to stay in the hospital for observation. However, King felt very puzzled. Zio Quanzi ate something bad for his stomach. Why is the skewer fine? Unfortunately, Chuenzi doesn't know either. Perhaps it's because the digestive systems of humans and dogs are different. However, King wants to examine Chuenzi as well. This even treats the string as a pet. Could it be that I've become addicted to being a pet doctor? Have you ever seen someone breaking into a home with an iron rod? Chuenzi and Luo Kai were like bandits. Without hesitation, he started smashing against the wall. What exactly happened? It was in the afternoon. Chuenzi asked King to take care of Guzi at the pet hospital, then walked on the street, preparing to go home. However, Chuenzi was in a bad mood. At that moment, Rocky's voice came from behind. "What are you doing, Chuenzi? Why are you feeling so down?" Since Master Liao was imprisoned, after Chuenzi arrived in Donglin City, assisted the police in resolving the Tai Long Reservoir issue. Tai Sui brings wealth, Black Spider website, and 3 major cases. In the end, they still could not save Master Liao, caught in a metal demon and faced with a murder case. Because the little dog suddenly fell ill, Chuenzi couldn't help but come up with an idea to cheer up Team Zhu. Indeed, just last night, the skilled deist master, Loki, infiltrates Team Zhu's home once again. Rocky sensed something was off as soon as he walked in. The Patek Philippe watch he stole from Zhu Dui's house kept shaking incessantly. The watch from the Chuenzi series. It is actually a mechanical compass, specifically used to summon ghosts, and the magical tools for seeking out sinister and bizarre objects. So Rocky followed the compass's guidance. It was soon discovered that there was something inside a wall in Captain Zhu's house, and is an extremely evil existence. But Rocky did not alert the snake by stirring the grass. When I just opened the master bedroom, again I found that the little white dog transformed into a human, absorbing Zhu's life energy. What the string of beads cannot understand is Zhu Dui's internal yang energy is abundant, full-faced, healthy hair quality. It doesn't look like bad luck. So Team Zhu may have expert assistance. Perhaps the team itself is extraordinary. But Rocky said to take the chance while team leader Zhu is not at home. Let's dig out what's in the wall tonight. Then I will clarify the stakes with Captain Zhu. Maybe Captain Zhu would be willing to rescue Master. Then Chuenzi carried the iron tool to Zhu Dui's house, secretly thinking about the doorbell. Madame Zhu heard the doorbell ringing incessantly. I just thought someone came to ask for Team Zhu. Little did they know, as soon as the door opened, they heard someone ask, "Is Captain Zhu home?" Who comes to see Captain Zhu is always polite. Where is there a person like this, so fierce and imposing? Madame Zhu immediately said that Team Zhu has not returned yet. If you want to ask Chuenzi what business he has with Team leader Zhu. Unexpectedly, Chuenzi rushed into the room carrying an iron rod. Madame Zhu was just about to stop. Yet Luo Kai pointed at a wall and shouted. Right there, Chuenzi raised the iron shovel. Gathering all his strength, he struck down fiercely. The flat end of the iron tool suddenly embedded into the wall. With a loud crack, the wall shattered. The next second, a completely black and purple arm stretched out from the gap. Chuenzi and Luopi were immediately stunned in place. No one expected there was actually a corpse inside. But at this moment Madame Zhu did not see this scene. She has already called the police and shouted for Zhu Dui to come home. And she finally remembered the previous serial murder case on the bus. Chuenzi visited Zhu Dui's house. At that time, the rat demon had also bitten her little white dog. At this moment, the little white dog is trembling all over, looking at Chuenzi with a pitiful gaze. But Chuenzi and Rocky looked at Madame Zhu with serious expressions. Seeing her still chattering away, immediately turned to expose the body to Madame Zhu's view. Madame Zhu's face turned ashen on the spot. How could there be a corpse in her house? Has she been living with this corpse for decades? So Mrs. Zhu quickly fainted. Chuenzi and Rocky were also surprised. Madame Zhu's mental fortitude is too weak, isn't it? The two were just about to help Mrs. Zhu. Suddenly, a figure leaped over their heads. This is when the little white dog transforms into a human form, pounced in front of the two. Gritting his teeth, he glared at them fiercely. Rocky found it quite amusing. Immediately prepared to use the thief's gate spell to deal with the dog demon. He Chuenzi said forget it. The dog demon just wants to protect its owner. But Chuenzi pulled out 3 talismans from his pocket. The threatening dog spirit said sternly, "From now on, the dog demon can no longer absorb human life force. Otherwise, I will surely take your life." The dog demon immediately broke out in a cold sweat. I dare not speak any further. Afterwards, Chuenzi and Rocky escorted Mrs. Zhu back to her bedroom. Wait in the living room for the police and Zhu team. After all, they are here to help Team Zhu. Definitely can't run away. After the police arrived, they broke open the wall. Inside were 2 corpses, completely black and purple. In the secrets of Feng Shui, there is a highly dangerous Feng Shui ghost trap, the case of the double corpse leopard gate. It can attract all malevolent spirits besides ghosts. An ordinary person lives in a house for only a few years, will die an inexplicable death. So this is a deadly deadlock. But who could have imagined? Zhu team's home, the leader of the city bureau. It turns out someone has set up this evil Feng Shui trap. The police received a report from the burglar expert Rocky. 2 bodies were dug out from the wall of Zhu's house. The police interrogate Chuenzi and Luopi late at night. Why invade someone else's home? They even knew there were bodies hidden in the wall. Chuenzi explained. He just feels that there is a problem with the Feng Shui of this house. So I came in to take a look. While the police were questioning, Zhu Dui just happened to return as well. He glanced at the wall that had been chiseled open. No one spoke. But from Captain Zhu's expression upon seeing the body, he didn't seem overly surprised. It seems they already knew about the body in the wall beforehand. It seems this matter is much more complicated than what Chuenzi and the others thought. Afterward, team leader Zhu had a brief encounter with the police officers. The police informed Zhu Dui. Captain Zhu's wife just called and said these 2 people broke into his house. But team leader Zhu falsely claimed that he was the one who sent the 2 of them over. Forgot to inform his partner in advance. It led to this misunderstanding. I'm really sorry to trouble the police officer. Chuenzi and Luoki exchanged glances upon hearing this. I don't understand why Team Zhu helped them out. The police's preliminary investigation has concluded. Zhu Dui's partner was also sent to the hospital due to shock. The police bid farewell to team leader Zhu and left first. Only Chuenzi, Luopi, and team leader Zhu were left in the room. Zhu Dui smiled and asked the 2 to sit down first. You must be exhausted after working all night. Chuenzi asks team leader Zhu. Why are there two corpses in the house? He was not anxious at all. Rocky was surprised by the straightforward question from Chuenzi. Immediately smoothed things over. You wouldn't understand this, would you? Captain Zhu has been through many storms and challenges. This little matter is nothing to Captain Zhu. Before Rocky could finish speaking, Captain Zhu said seriously, "You came for Liu Fan's immunity, didn't you? In fact, Chuenzi and Liuoqi came this time to dig up the wall and retrieve the corpse. It's just to help Zhu Dui break the deadlock. Hao asks Zhu to help rescue Uncle Liu. But who would have thought that Captain Zhu would come up first?" They could see the intentions of the two strangers. Seeing this, Chuenzi could only stammer a response. "They only came to Zhu Dui's house last time. I just feel that the feng shui here is off. That's why I came to see if there's anything I can help with." Captain Zhu straightforwardly told them. He actually knew there was a corpse behind this wall all along, and these two bodies, he had someone buried in the wall, although I was mentally prepared. But these words came directly from Captain Zhu's mouth. Chuenzi was still in shock. Zhu Dui knows the two accomplices. He is also someone in the martial world who understands feng shui. It should be obvious. This subway feng shui formation is called the double corpse leopard gate. Team Zhu set up this feng shui arrangement at home, not from the outside, but rather out of nature. So as long as you are a person, there will be endless desires, and very few people can restrain their inner desires. But team leader Zhu is trying to avoid succumbing to temptation, made a mistake. Captain Zhu had no choice but to resort to this desperate measure, setting up this subway line at home, so that I live in constant fear every day, although a lot of fun is missing. But I can always remind myself not to make mistakes. And the fact proved that Captain Zhu was right. Many classmates or friends who served in office concurrently with Zhu, now 7 or 8 out of 10 are having issues. Only he stands firm in the officialdom year after year. After saying all this, Captain Zhu couldn't help but express his pride. He told Chuenzi and Losai these things. Mainly want to explain. The metro system isn't necessarily all bad. If used correctly, it can also benefit people. Chuenzi and Rocky listened to Captain Gao's grand speech. I also understood the secret of this room. One cannot help but admire Zhu's extraordinary wisdom. Team leader Zhu felt very pleased to express that one is trying to avoid being transformed into a corpse tool. It really took a lot of effort. First, he practices his inner energy every day. Thus, it is not only insulated from corruption. Moreover, the body is also very strong. Additionally, he set up many shadow compasses at home to restrain the damage of the corpse vessel to his family. While speaking, Zhu Du pointed to the gathering shadow compass on Rocky's wrist. It indicates that if he is not mistaken, the watch on Rocky's wrist. It must have been stolen from his house. When Rocky heard this, Lima smiled as she wanted to take off the watch and return it to Captain Zhu. But team leader Zhu said no need, directly gave it to Rocky. Then team leader Zhu proudly leaned back on the sofa. He talked about his family. Now his wife is retired and at home. It's time to enjoy the blessings. My daughter and son-in-law are both senior executives at foreign companies in Shenzhen. My son has just returned from the army. He is also a military officer. He will soon be able to work at his mother's unit. A perfect life, couples and prisoners. What else could you be dissatisfied with? Chuenzi and Liuoqi exclaimed in unison. Zhu Dui is truly a person of great wisdom. Captain Zhu burst into laughter, humbly waved his hands repeatedly. Just at that moment, Chuenzi's phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Officer Shen. Seeing this, Chuenzi thought to himself, "Why are you calling so late? Is there something important happening?" He smiled and got up to express, "Go to the balcony to answer a call." On the phone, Shen Zhang tells Chuenzi there has been a significant breakthrough in the previous square shooting case. According to the video provided by Chuenzi at that time, the technical handling with Lai Yanlong, in addition to the bloodstains left by the killer at the scene, the police can basically determine the identity of the murderer. When Chuenzi learned the true identity of the murderer and the news that the other party has already been arrested, it's simply unbelievable. At this moment, Zhu Dui and Rocky were still unaware of the situation. Then Chuenzi returned to the house. Zhu Dui is still pretending to scroll on his phone, but in the next second, the power suddenly went out in the room. Team leader Zhu noticed that Chuenzi's expression was not good. Ask him if something happened. Chuenzi said it was nothing. Captain Zhu knows that Chuenzi is also a cultivator. But right now, the strain can't even control its own heart. Uneven breathing. They must have run into big trouble. He asked Chuenzi to speak up, as long as it doesn't violate the principles. Zhu's team will definitely lend strong support. But if it is from Mr. Liu's exemption order, this matter is indeed somewhat difficult to handle. They must also have enough patience. But Chuenzi suddenly asked team leader Zhu, "Have you seen your son recently?" Zhu Dui smiled and said his son has been quite busy lately. "I haven't seen him for several days." So Chuenzi informed team leader Zhu. Officer Shen just called him and said, "The gunman from the square shooting has been found." As they spoke, Chuenzi pulled out photos from his phone. After the police's preliminary assessment, the shooter in the incident is Zhu Dui's son. Upon hearing these words, Zhu Dui felt as if struck by a bolt from the blue. In that moment, all hope was lost. The phone gently slipped from my hand at that moment, fell heavily to the ground. This person has a gaunt face and a head full of white hair. But just a second ago, he still looked plump. Hair is dark and healthy. What happened that left his heart in despair? A moment of white hair. This goes back to over a decade ago. Zhu Dui is in the officialdom. He is trying to restrain his desires. Unwavering. Promote justice. It was set up right in the house. The subway Fang Shui Bureau double corpse explosion. Today, Team Zhu is not only thriving in their career, even their physical condition is very healthy. Chuenzi and Liuoqi also had to admit, Zhu Dui is indeed capable. Yet the world is unpredictable. Just now, Chuenzi received a call from Officer Shen. Yesterday at the plaza in Donglin City, the sniper of that shooting incident has been arrested and imprisoned, and the murderer is Zhu Dui's son. Zhu Dui was stunned on the spot. There is a metro Feng Shui set up in the house, isolated from corruption and crime. Why did my son commit violence with a gun? The sound of the phone hitting the ground woke up Zhu. Zhu Dui was anxiously searching for his phone on the ground, wanting to cover up the inner unease. At that moment, Chuenzi picked up the phone from the side. "Give the support to Team Zhu." Zhu Dui said nervously, "I want to call Director Huang. There must be some misunderstanding here. It must be a mistake." Captain Zhu kept repeating this phrase. Both hands trembled uncontrollably. But when the contact list slid to Director Huang, Zhu Dui hesitated again. He fears that Director Huang will turn a blind eye to his son's crimes. But just now, Chuenzi even showed him his son's prison photo. Zhu Dui couldn't help but break into a sweat. At that moment, Zhu Dui's hands began to tremble violently. It was Director Huang who called. However, What Captain Zhu waited for was not his son's acquittal. He could only speak decisively in a tone of righteous indignation. "I need to reflect on myself." He continued to speak. The organization must severely punish him. Finally he said, "Please rest assured, Director Huang. If needed, I will definitely cooperate with the organization's inspection." After hanging up the phone, Captain Zhu has already turned gray. Both spirit and energy are completely exhausted. He is a bit tired. "Please escort them back." Captain Zhu issued an eviction order, and Chu and Zi witnessed Zhu Dewey turning gray in an instant. This is difficult to understand, even if the Feng Shui layout of Team Zhu's home is unraveled at this moment. Logically, it shouldn't affect Team Zhu's luck. What is the reason? However, it's not good for Chu and Zi to linger any longer. Just say if there's a need. Zhu team can find him. The words remain unspoken. Luo Kai then interrupted the string. Smiling, they said to Captain Zhu, "Get some rest early." Then they hurriedly pushed the cart away. Chu and Zi was extremely perplexed by this. He is very worried that Zhu Dewey will collapse. "Maybe we need to use the Barber's tricks. Help Zhu team relieve some psychological stress." However, Liu Okai said that the design cannot be too deep. Captain Zhu let them leave. "I also don't want Jianzi and Liu Okai to see the upcoming actions." But something happened to team leader Zhu. The driver's exemption permit will have to be handled differently. Speaking of which, Liu Okai was puzzled again. Officer Shen captured the criminal. Why inform Chuanzi immediately? It seems there's something fishy between you two. Chuanzi was also very puzzled. Maybe it was because of the shooting incident. The video recorded by the sniper's crosshair played a crucial role in solving the case. But soon Dr. Liang called. Chuanzi and Liu Okai hurried to the pet hospital, because the dog Zio Chuanzi is missing. Just as Dr. Liang and his girlfriend were going out for dinner, Zio Quanzi actually left through the window on the second floor. Chuanzi was extremely puzzled. Why did Zio Quanzi want to escape? However, Liu Okai said not to think about these things yet. "Let's go look around nearby." However, the two of them wandered through the nearby streets and alleys. But I never saw Zio Chuanzi's figure, until Liu Okai had to rush back to the hotel to appease the ghost she had summoned, only stopping around midnight. The next morning I opened the hotel room door. Zio Quanzi was already outside the door. Chuanzi was overjoyed. One arm wrapped around the little string. But where did Zio Chuanzi actually go? There was a lot of dirt all over him. But fortunately, everything is safe and sound. At this moment, a news broadcast is playing inside Dongling City Prison. Master Liu relied solely on some information. Finally, a confrontation with the villain begins. Two prisoners argued heatedly, but the next second, the two suddenly knelt down and apologized to each other. The prison guard was also a bit puzzled by the situation. "I thought you two were putting on a show for me." But the two were not pretending to make up in front of the prison guard on purpose, but was just getting heated during the argument. Suddenly, my anger was taken away by someone. Uncle Lio clenched his hand tightly, silently reciting in my heart, "Receive." The anger of the two was instantly captured by Uncle Lio. This is a challenge for a barber. It's as easy as pie. However, the reason the two people in prison are arguing is. Let's start with a news segment that just interrupted the television program. According to reports from the Dongling City local news station, the major shooting incident that occurred last night at the Dongling City Square. The suspect has been arrested and imprisoned. The suspect's last name is Zhu, a staff member of a certain public institution. There were no prior criminal records. Currently, Zhu's motive for committing the crime remains unclear. Further investigation is needed. Additionally, the police revealed last night someone at the suspect's home also reported a case. According to the witness's description, at that time, someone claimed there was a problem with their home's feng shui. It was later confirmed by the police that it was a misunderstanding. Regarding the follow-up developments of this case, this station will continue to provide coverage. When the news was broadcast on television, Uncle Lio is eating in the prison cafeteria. The two prisoners next to them were discussing while watching TV. I heard that the person who fired the gun has gone insane. It is said that he didn't intend to shoot at that time. It seems more like someone has cast a spell on them. Another prisoner thought this was complete nonsense. This guy just wants to avoid responsibility. But that prisoner refused. He heard that the kid who fired the gun is actually a great shot. But not a single person died at the shooting scene. Another prisoner told him to stop with that. Poor shooting skills are just poor shooting skills. So the two began to argue endlessly about this issue. Meanwhile, Uncle Lio has already finished his meal. I got up to ask the guard beside me, "Could you help him find a map of Dongling City?" The prison guard did not understand what Mr. Lio was doing with the map. Uncle Lio claimed he was just bored. "I want to study the feng shui of Dongling City." Considering that Uncle Lio once helped them greatly in prison, the guard agreed to the request. But the current situation is special. After finishing my own research, there's nothing else to do. But I can't do anything else. Uncle Lio smiled and indicated that he understood. Put the prison guards at ease. He would never cause trouble for the prison guards. So the guard agreed to help him get a map another day. Uncle Lio expressed his gratitude at the same time. A loud bang sounded as someone hit the table. Uncle Lio turned around to take a look. But I saw that the two prisoners were already arguing fiercely, their faces flushed. To prevent the argument from escalating into violent fighting, Uncle Lio secretly calmed the anger of the two. On the other side of Dongling City, for the safety of Yinggu Zio Chuenzi, Chuenzi left him alone in the hotel room. Then prepared to go to Dongling City Hospital with Rocky. Last night he thought all night. I always felt that something was wrong with that hospital. You should know that Zio Chuenzi is an eagle dog. He would never shout in the hospital for no reason. It must be that they discovered something. So today they must go to the hospital to check on the situation again. The two then drove to Dongling City People's Hospital. As soon as I entered the door, a situation arose. A nurse in the corridor is calling for the head nurse. The patient in room 702 suddenly convulsed. But the head nurse remembers that patient 702's condition has stabilized. How could this situation happen again? The little nurse also didn't know what was going on. The patient was just chatting fine a moment ago. Suddenly, for some unknown reason, then I convulsed and fainted. The head nurse immediately notified the attending physician. Chuenzi stepped forward to inquire about the patient in room 702. "Are you referring to the soldier named Honkson?" The little nurse nodded in agreement. When Chuenzi heard this, Fang Ju sensed that something was wrong. So he rushed to Honkson's hospital room. She pushed the door open and took a look. A dark shadow was curling around Honkson. That's right. Everything is as Chuenzi expected. This hospital really has issues. A black creature resembling a raccoon was coiled around this man's body, and the man also fainted and remained unconscious, twitching all over non-stop. At that time, the nurse also knew the situation was urgent. Quickly contact the doctor. Chuenzi knew that the Red Heart was in grave danger. Immediately rushed into Honkson's room. The yin-yang of the Chuenzi indeed saw a creature resembling a raccoon entangled around Hongsen. This hospital is definitely strange. But the urgent task is to save Hongsen. Ordinary people quickly lose their rationality when enticed, manipulated, and deceived. But Hongsen, as a soldier, willpower is incredibly strong. Thus, fainting and convulsions occurred during the process of resisting the charm. Now, Chuenzi is going to separate the soul and body of the Red Heart. The force of the strike must not be off by even a fraction. Fortunately, Chuenzi is in a blade. The force was controlled with remarkable precision. Next, it involves extracting the poison from the body of Hongsen. This step also carries a high risk. Chuenzi's strike was swift and perfect. The seductive force that was extracted quickly transformed into a cloud of black mist, dissipating with the wind. But saving Hongsen still requires the most critical and dangerous step. That is the soul that steadies the Red Heart. Once there is a mistake in this step, the consequences would be unimaginable. It seems that the string is very successful now. Gently lay the Red Heart flat. Rocky felt a bit curious. He has been with Master Lyo and Chuenzi for some time, but they had never seen the two use this technique. Chuenzi generously told Rocky, "This is the forbidden book from the 3 books taught by Master Lyo. Goodbye, Uncle Lyo, until we meet again. You must not tell Uncle Lyo about this." However, the little nurse at the door did not come with good intentions. Without further ado, they kicked Chuenzi and Luoki out of the hospital room. They also warned the two not to do anything strange to the patient. This little nurse is truly adorable. Unfortunately, it's not a situation for 2 people. Rocky is more interested in the technique of threading. That is a type of bone-holding technique. First, use a method to separate the soul of the Red Heart from the body. The poison lingers within the body. This way, the string can be used to perform the bone-catching technique to extract the allure. But the bone-grabbing technique can also easily extract a person's soul. Chuenzi can use it but has never practiced the bone-grabbing technique. Fortunately, there were no mistakes. Otherwise, the soul of the Red Heart will be extracted. Then he will likely become a walking dead. A person has 3 souls and 7 spirits. It's impossible to take away all the souls at once. What happens if the bone grasp technique is executed incorrectly? The victim will lose 1 or even more souls. At that time, a certain emotion will be missing, even losing one's mind. This is what people often refer to as losing one's soul. At this point, Chuenzi recalled yesterday again. Yinbu Zio Chuenzi suddenly began to vomit uncontrollably. I always feel that there is something wrong with this hospital. At this moment, a girl passes by. Suddenly, there was an exclamation. She shyly glanced at Chuenzi. If Chuenzi saw the girl, he would definitely recognize her as the girl who was collecting donations in Tiananmen Square the day before yesterday. Look at her excited expression. It seems that I have secretly developed feelings for Chuenzi. The girl really wants to greet the boy. But I couldn't bear to interrupt the conversation between Chuenzi and Rocky. In such a tangled situation, it's surprisingly adorable. Just as the girl was about to make up her mind, suddenly a clear ringing sound echoed. Chuenzi and Luopi suddenly had a clever idea. This ringtone sounds familiar. The two quickly turned their heads to look. Just saw a long purple-red robe. As the bell rang, it turned the corner. Chuenzi immediately got up and chased after. That person definitely has a problem. At this moment, a girl at another corner finally mustered the courage. "Yuo Zio, you're just going to say hello." "Keep going." Yuo Zia Sheng breathes to relieve her emotions. Immediately turned and walked towards the. Unfortunately, Chuenzi and Luoki are no longer here. Only Yuo Xiaoleng was left standing in place. I don't know when I will see my savior, Chuenzi, again. Chuenzi and Rocky sprinted after the mysterious figure. It just flashed by. Chuenzi only saw the mysterious person wearing a purple-red coat. It seems like wearing a mask on the face. Little did they know the two chased each other to the parking lot. But the mysterious figure was completely lost. It's too dim here. To be safe, Chuenzi found a steel pipe for self-defense. However, Rocky is exceptionally skilled. No need for weapons. But he doubted whether he had seen it wrong. Could it be that I've encountered a ghostly cover-up again? Chuenzi reassured Luoki. Although hospitals are notorious for being haunted, but the possibility in broad daylight is very small. However, at that moment, suddenly, a figure floated past behind the two of them. Even the deist Master Luokai didn't notice anything unusual. As we all know, hospitals are the easiest places to haunt. The hospital basement would have more negative energy gathering. Right now, Chuenzi and the deist Master Raki are in pursuit of a figure in a red robe. Ran all the way to the basement of the hospital. This place is dark and damp. The two walked side by side. Unbeknownst to them, a ghostly shadow flashed behind. Chuenzi felt the ghostly shadow from just now. It seems to be getting closer to them. Rocky expressed that he feels the same way. While the two were talking, Chuenzi was suddenly attacked from behind with a kick. The body is a torn tendon. Suddenly lunged forward. Rocky immediately drew his knife and turned around. Slide towards the person behind. In an instant, the red-robed figure swiftly dodged. The cuff was torn open by Rocky. Rocky pursues victory. Once again, brandishing the dagger, he charged forward. In the blink of an eye, the two fought fiercely, wielding short knives in a chaotic struggle. Chuenzi painfully got up from the ground at that moment. Listened to the short knife wielded by the man in the red robe, constantly ringing with a tinkling sound. Chuenzi felt the ringtone seemed somewhat familiar. Upon closer inspection, I discovered that the figure in the red robe was holding. What I held was actually a corpse knife. Chuenzi suddenly realized. The man in the red robe. Is it the blue-blooded person I met at the hotel that day? Just then, Yuokai swung the short knife with all his might. The blue-blooded people also wielded their death knives, planning to go all out with the opponent. Chuenzi sensed something was wrong. He shouted immediately, "Stop it. Please stop fighting. We're all on the same side." At the critical moment of 1,000 troops, both drew their short knives at the same time. Each of their daggers pointed at the other's throat. Chuenzi told them to stop fighting. "They are all people I know." The two of them looked at Chuenzi at the same time and said in unison, "I know." This has left the string confused. He thought to himself with a puzzled expression, "What is going on?" The blue-blooded man expressed. He just wanted to see what this kid was capable of. It seems the results are quite impressive. Rocky said that the blue-blooded man plays quite well too. That being said, the blue-blooded man just recognized the two of them. Chuenzi suddenly felt, since the blue-blooded man recognized them just now, why kick him from behind? The blue-blooded man removed his mask. She originally had a head of glossy black hair. As a result, he ended up with a shaved head. Is this something a person would do? Chuenzi was also quite dissatisfied. At that time, I shaved the head of the blue-blooded man, but it was agreed upon by him. But the blue-blooded man said he was drunk at the time. How can drunk words be taken seriously? Chuenzi felt that this was simply unreasonable. Rocky awkwardly caught in the middle. "I can only act as a mediator and persuade both of you to calm down. We are all on the same side. Let's talk nicely." Afterwards, the two negotiated peacefully for 10 minutes. In the end, both sides only stopped after being bruised and battered. Chuenzi asked the blue-blooded man why he came to the hospital. The blue-blooded man answered succinctly with 3 words. "Find the murderer. He said last time at the hotel he might not have noticed the—" At that time, the blue-blooded man was actually under a spell. Chuenzi was very surprised after listening. He didn't notice anything at that time, since the blue-blooded man's girlfriend passed away. He then experienced a hallucination. "I often catch glimpses of my girlfriend kinking." He thought that kinking was not dead. That's why the blue-blooded man often goes to the hotel where kinking jumped, looking for kinking. Later on, the blue-blooded man's uncle saw that he had been bewitched, and tell him the truth. The blue-blooded man finally realized he had been stabbed. Afterwards, uncle performed rituals to drive away evil spirits. The blue-blooded man finally returned to normal. At this point, the blue-blooded man suddenly recalled that Rocky seemed to have signs of possession back then. Turn back and ask Luo Pai, does he need help performing a ritual to exorcise evil spirits? Rocky smiled, indicating that his situation was different from his. So it troubles him to worry about it. So the blue-blooded man continued. He later heard from a friend. Recently, there have been many people in Dongling City Hospital who seem to be afflicted by a curse. The blue-blooded man suspects that the one who casts the curse is in the hospital. So these days, he has been waiting at the hospital. Chuenzi claims. He also met the person who was misled today. Before Keshua could finish speaking, suddenly a noise came from a car not far away. The sound of dark leaves rustled from time to time. The 3 of them turned their heads. Yet they do not know what happened inside. At this moment in the car, a nurse is being forcefully silenced by someone covering her mouth, and the one who pinned him down. But it was a doctor exuding an eerie aura. This little one recites incantations to drive away evil spirits. The sound of the death bell rings as the knife is held, seeing others as harmless. Just a moment ago I was in a fierce battle with the deist master, Luo Kai. What's even scarier is, his methods are extremely ruthless. With just a few words, one can deceive a doctor into committing suicide. But at the last moment, he reversed the grip of the corpse's knife, pierced the doctor's calf. Why is Zio he so ruthless? Not long ago, Zio he learned from a friend. Someone at Dongling City Hospital is suspected of being bewitched. Zio he deduced that the culprit was in the hospital, waiting here to find the murderer. Today, the person cursed by the poison has reappeared. It was the righteous citizen, Hong Sing, at the scene of the shooting incident the day before yesterday. At that moment, Chuenzi acted swiftly, successfully extracted the charm. However, Chuenzi and Luoki had just left the hospital room for a short while. Then they heard the sound of the lion's bell from the small river. Chuenzi and Luoki immediately chased after. The 3 of them then met in the parking lot. Originally, Zio he aimed to avoid the hospital, the other minions of the mastermind. I didn't expect that in the parking lot. It just so happened to encounter the doctor committing the crime, attempting to forcefully act inappropriately towards the young nurse. Chuenzi thought the other person was seeking excitement in the car. One should not disturb others' good affairs. But little did they know the nurse was being covered over her mouth and nose by the doctor, unable to cry out for help. Chuenzi didn't realize that he wasn't hindering Zio at all while walking, but was met with a slap on the face from Zio he. Watching Zio he step by step walk toward the car. The boy couldn't help but curse loudly. This person is very rude. At this moment, Zio he was chanting a spell. The sound of the lion's blade bell echoed throughout the parking lot. A wave of gray-red masculinity fills every inch of the corners. Sure enough, the next moment the doctor leaned out from the front of the car and angrily scolded Zayo He. Suddenly, the doctor's eyes turned a strange purplish red. His entire body was further shrouded in the power of temptation. Chuenzi finally realized. Then prepared to step forward to help. Calliope said that someone had noticed it long ago. Let Chuenzi calm down. Let's see how Zayo plans to solve it. At this moment, Zayo he was stepping with a strange rhythm. Like a sorcerer, he wielded the corpse knife. Recite the incantation of the curved spell. The deceived doctor actually pleaded for mercy. Please, little he stop reciting. However, Zayo he did not stop shaking the bell and reciting the incantation. And the little nurse has also escaped the jaws of the tiger, gaining a new life. At this moment, Chuenzi also saw. The temptation within the doctor was forced out. The black aura surrounding him gradually dissipated. Soon, accompanied by Zayo he, the chanting stopped. The doctor finally woke up, filled with confusion, not knowing what had happened. But what Zayo he said left him astonished. You just tried to insult a girl. Upon hearing this, the doctor instantly broke into a cold sweat. I did indeed just violate the little nurse. The doctor scolded himself, saying he was nothing but a beast, filled with self-blame. At this moment, Zayo he asked, You almost caused a disaster. So how will you thank me? The doctor suddenly said strangely, Yes, I want to thank you. Chuenzi and Raki immediately sensed something was wrong. Has the doctor's enchantment not been broken? Just then, Zayo he spoke up. It startled both of them. Since you want to thank me, then just jump off the building. The words fell. The doctor turned his head like a puppet. He chuckled. All right, no problem. I'll go take care of it right now. After speaking, they suddenly started laughing again. But Zayo he closed his eyes, facing the doctor, suddenly gripping the corpse knife tightly. The doctor monotonously repeated those words like a machine. I'm going to jump off the building now. Zayo he knew the time had come, immediately grabbed the corpse knife and leaped up. With a fierce expression, he aimed the weapon at the doctor. Does Zayo Shang have to resort to murder to end the manipulation? Chuenzi and Liuoqi wanted to stop it, but it was too late. However, the reality is not like that. Zayo he did not intend to kill the doctor. The blade only pierced the doctor's calf. But what is the reason for this action? A man stabbed the doctor's calf with a knife. Suddenly, countless streams of black mist erupted from the wound. The doctor collapsed on the ground, crying out in pain. Chuenzi and Rocky hurried forward to try to stop it. But the young man in the red robe wielding the knife shouted, Let Chuenzi and the others hurry over to help hold down the doctor. The man in the red robe ripped open the doctor's pant leg. A circle of crimson sun patterns appeared around the wound on the calf. Help hold down the doctor's needle. I don't understand what this is. The man in the red robe told him, This is the seal of the Dharma body. They referred to this thing as Guizu too in their community. It means the images and texts left by the devil on a person. The man in the red robe has encountered several frightened people in this hospital. He concluded that this doctor was also under a spell. That's why the situation is so strange. The man in the red robe has been lurking at the hospital these days. At first, he only expressed himself through singing, Come and force these charms attached to the body out. But this method is not effective for everyone. Some people's situations are quite different. Even if it forced out their deception, will also be manipulated like a marionette. The man in the red robe just told the doctor to jump off the building. He immediately got ready to obey and follow through. This is enough to show that this person has been marked with the Guizhou diagram, the one marked with the ghostly tattoo. There must have been physical contact with the person who fell. Once you get caught in the ghostly show, the human body can feel as if it has a remote control buried within. Anyone can give orders to him. The red-robed man just walked by the doctor. He noticed that his left leg was somewhat uncoordinated. That's why I confirmed the ghostly tattoo on their calf. This knife struck directly. Luck is still quite good. Chuanzi and Luop listened to this. He retorted to the man in the red robe. So you mean you went to the wrong place before? The man in the red robe immediately became anxious upon hearing this. Let them be quiet. He didn't make a mistake at all. Then the man in the red robe gave the doctor a simple bandage for the wound. At that moment Chuanzi suddenly noticed. The blood flowing on the ground from the doctor was unexpectedly dark red. Is all the blood from the bones like this? The doctor thinks that the man in the red robe is committing murder. But the man in the red robe insisted that he was saving him. Just as the two were arguing endlessly, suddenly hurried footsteps echoed from the hallway. The doctor turned his head to take a look, immediately rushed forward to call for help. The person who arrived was Officer Shen and a nurse. Shot with a bullet. Asked curiously, "Why is it you again?" Chuanzi could only awkwardly say a word. What a coincidence. Afterward, the doctor was helped by a nurse to the hospital for treatment. After sending the two away, Officer Shen turned around and sighed. Chuanzi is truly a great detective. Wherever you go, there will be cases happening. Chuanzi expressed that he didn't want this kind of thing either. He came here to investigate as well. Then Officer Shen sternly questioned the man in the red robe. Why do you want to take the bucket from others? The young man in the red robe explains why he did this. Of course, there is a reason. Afterwards, Xuanzi and the others will talk about what happened in the basement. Once again, I described the injuries on my body. After listening, Shenzhong was quite surprised. So it seems. Someone has been cursed in this hospital. The man in the red robe replied, "That's right. The current situation he is aware of. There are two methods used by the person who casts the curse. One method is to remotely release the enchantment and attach it to a person's body, to manipulate others with this." The man in the red robe speculated about this method of witchcraft. Cannot control people who are too far away, and it's easy to be exorcised. Another way to cast a spell. It's about having direct close contact with people, then leave the imprint of the Dharma body on the person. Previously, the girlfriend of the man in the red robe, kinking. It's because someone has marked them as a ghost.